Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Adult Child of Dysfunction. Today we have with us Elizabeth Planson. She is an intuitive spiritual mentor, a soul purpose activator, and healer. She's the creator of the Light Council method and founder of Radiance. She helps women activate their soul purpose, regulate their nervous system, and manifest aligned abundance. She's also a best-selling author, wife, and mom of two girls. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about manifestation today. It's just, oh, I love it so much.
Oh, I do too. And when people have this really preconceived notion of what manifestation is, and I just want to kind of clear it up because it's a lot of preconceived notions about everything. That's why there's so much non-knowledge, I guess you can say. But people, I feel like some people that have like this just general idea is they think of The Secret, the book The Secret. And I'm like, it's so much more than that. It's so much more heart centered and just a part of your everyday life. But I want you to talk about it because you're the manifestation expert. So, how did you get started learning about this soul searching kind of thing?
Yeah, honestly, how I found manifestation and like heard about it first was actually in the church I was going to at the time. I was going into they call it like an interfaith church called Unity. It's a very spiritual church, and the pastor was talking about manifestation, and I was like, what is that? Like, I kind of heard about it, but not really. And then so I started to read a little bit about it. And I then, one thing led to another. Breadcrumbs kind of I found my first manifestation and mindset mentor and began studying it. And it really honestly changed my life because I actually finally understood what it was. And yes, a lot of people think about the book The Secret, and I have an unpopular opinion about that book. For me, I feel like it's just very surface level and lots of stories which are beautiful, but it doesn't really give you the how to. It kind of just tells you like all these beautiful things can happen, but it doesn't really help you understand manifestation, how it works, and like how to utilize it to your advantage. Because the truth of the matter is that we are always manifesting, whether you do it, it or not. You are always creating your own reality, and that's essentially what manifestation is bringing things into your reality, creating your reality, shaping them into your 3D reality from your mind. So I like books that really help you understand how it actually works, like the science behind it, and that really help you understand vibration and frequency because there's so many things to it. So when we purposely manifest, right, we are intentionally creating our reality by paying attention to our thoughts, paying attention to our emotions and our behaviors, which is then going to dictate what we are experiencing in our current life.
Absolutely. It's funny because I was talking to someone at work the other day and I was like joking and I said, "Well, what you think about you bring about?" Like, and she's like, "Oh, that's so stupid." I'm like, "No, it's real. Like, for
Yes.
real, it's real. Like, why do
Yes.
you think in the morning when you wake up in the morning, you stub your toe and you go, God, I'm going to have a horrible day? Well,
Mm-hmm.
bam, now you're going to have a horrible day."
Right,
It,
exactly. It's like what you give your attention to, what you focus on is what you are experiencing.
absolutely. So, you found a mentor. Who was it? Someone, a big name mentor, or was
Yeah, so my manifestation mindset mentor, her name is Kathleen Cameron. She runs the Diamond Academy, and I became a certified manifestation and mindset coach under her. So I teach my clients essentially all the things that I've learned over the years. And I also took the program that Bob Proctor created. He was another manifestation and mindset guru, thinking in results. And that just honestly, it changed my life in such a profound way because it really helped me understand that I am in charge of how I feel and what I think and how I can change my thoughts in an instant if I'm noticing something that I don't want to be focusing on, right? And it's all about awareness. It all starts with awareness, creating that awareness. And the better that or the more that you practice paying attention to your thoughts and your emotions, the easier it gets to create that awareness around your thought patterns, and the easier it becomes to be able to shift them into something that you actually want to be, creating and thinking about and letting go of the worrying. Because I always say, just like you said, what you think about comes about. I always say praying or worrying is like praying for what you don't want.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's the same thing, people talk about, you'll probably get into this when you're talking about like the science of it and the science of your mind and how like your mind doesn't hear a negative.
Right.
So when you're saying, I don't want to be broke, your mind is hearing, I broke.
It doesn't understand the difference between good and bad, right or wrong, big or small, whatever. Everything is like neutral. It doesn't mean anything. So whatever we put meaning to things as humans, right? We decide what it actually means. So the key is to remain in a place of neutrality instead of judging everything good or bad. Okay, what is this trying to show me and how do I want to feel about this? What is this trying to teach me? And look, I'm not saying you're not going to have bad thoughts and that it's wrong to have bad thoughts and everything gets all messed up if you have bad thoughts or emotions. That is completely normal. We're human. It's part of the human experience. But it's what you do with them when you become aware of them that matters. How long you let them kind of like fester in your being, and like how much you allow yourself to spiral into feeling that constantly, right? So we can become aware of those negative thoughts and say, huh, why am I having this negative thought? Why am I having this negative emotion? It could be bringing something to the surface that we need to address, that we need to heal, that we need to let go of, and work through that and actually process it. Allow yourself to feel it and then let it go. Because if you try to stuff it away and just ignore it, right, we end up stuffing it into our bodies and it doesn't actually go anywhere. And that's a whole nother
Yeah,
story.
I was going to say that's a whole nother episode.
Uh-huh.
We touch on that a lot, a whole
Yes.
lot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that's so for the people listening, and I know a lot of us are, manifesting beginners.
Mm-hmm.
Beginners. Go through maybe something in your regular day and maybe give us some real practical tips like, okay, if this thought pops into my mind, try to use some bigger things that happen to everybody every day
Yeah.
and maybe how you can reframe that. I mean, I do a lot of NLP work, so a lot of it is just I call it nip it in the bud. Like the minute you have that thought, don't even let it ingrain. Don't let it spiral and snowball and roll down into more and more intrusive thoughts. Just nip it in the bud, reword it in a
Mm-hmm.
positive way and move on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think for me, when a negative thought comes up, I honestly ask, why am I having this thought? Where is it coming from? And just like you said, it's a reframe, right? It's where, how can I look at this from a place of neutrality and flip it and think about, well, how would I actually love to feel instead? Right. And the thing with affirmations is they're great and they definitely can work. But the power behind affirmations is actually creating a feeling attached to it, because you can say I'm abundant or I'm happy all day long, but if you're not actually feeling those feelings, it kind of really doesn't work. So allowing yourself just to pause and take that moment to feel the emotion of abundance. And when you think about abundance, it doesn't always have to be money. So looking at all the ways that you are abundant in your life. Do you have food in your refrigerator? Do you have gas in your car, right? Like, do you have 10 cents in your bank account, right? Because a lot of us think, oh my gosh, I don't have any money because it's so low. But really, like, you still have those things, right? Do you have clothes? Like, all these things, a warm cup of coffee, and really feel that gratitude for the moment is what I do. And also, if I really am in a spiral and cannot help, um, sorry, if I'm really in a spiral and cannot help keep like reframe my frame of thought, to get woo woo and spiritual on you guys, like I honestly call upon whatever resonates with you, source, universe, God, spirit, and I ask for help. I ask my spirit team for help to come in. Please help me release these negative thoughts, these negative emotions that I'm having right now, because I know they're not serving me in any way. And honestly, within a few moments, I notice that my thought pattern begins to change.
And even just asking that is going to shift your thought pattern because you took that moment to ask a question to break that pattern. I mean, literally, it's like a pattern just interrupt, and you're going, okay, stop. And again, that's that nip it, like stop right now and ask. And I'm glad you brought that up as far as whatever that looks for you, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not religious, I'm not spiritual. And I'm like, when I say universal energy, it's whatever that energy is. To me, I believe in God. So that's
Right.
my God. When I was
Hmm.
having my stroke and I was like, okay, I'm pulling all this white light, and people were like, well, were you praying? Were you doing? I was like, I was bringing in white light energy. It didn't matter,
Yes.
you know, I know where mine's coming from, but that could be different for everybody. So don't not do it because you go, oh, well, I don't believe in God, or I don't believe in the universe, or I don't, because we all believe in something bigger than ourselves.
100%. It's really, I feel, important with the manifestation process to have that faith, to have a trust in the process and being like, and a faith in a higher power,
Right.
right? Like, so whatever, like you said, that means to you. And if you're someone that just does not believe in any sort of higher power or faith or, a source energy, I would ask you to look and believe, like, look at one point in your life where you may have had something happen to you and it turned out better than you expected, or it worked out, right? That is going to help you turn to faith.
Absolutely. So, and I kind of got you off track after I asked your question. So, let's say give me a small simple step. Like I want people to be able to start this process. Like give me an example of something you might think and then how you could reframe that.
Um, so saying like for me, what comes up to be fully transparent is this feeling of lack, right? This feeling of lack and scarcity. It's like kind of like one of my life lessons, like that I've worked through. And I remember, like, when I first started this process, I used to have like a panic attack every month about money. How are we ever going to get ahead? How are we going to pay our bills? Are we never going to be able to move in our dream home or all these things, right? And so basically, a small step I started doing was every single day I was writing 5 things that I was grateful for every single day. And I was writing daily affirmations that were good for me. And then I had a goal. I had a goal. This for me is like so important is to have something to strive towards. And it's not like if you don't make the goal, it doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean that like it's not working, but it was putting something in my imagination that I wanted to be able to achieve. So that's what actually caused my body to move differently, right? Because without having, from in my opinion, like a big beautiful personal desire, we're just kind of like living this rat race, right? And just living and existing. But by having a goal, this is actually causing you to expand and to grow because then you're continuing to focus on what it is that you actually want rather what it is that you don't want.
Absolutely. No, you're fine. Absolutely. And I just always say too, when you have that goal, it's like, it's perfect. I do that when I wake up, 5 things you're grateful for, the affirmations. And some people I found for myself, I recorded about 20 of them that I really like. And I listen to them when I'm walking my dog.
Yeah, yeah. I love
It's
that.
just, it's very helpful. And then it's like your goal. And it's like, okay, what can I do one thing today to move me a little closer to that? So that might be not doom scrolling for 4 hours, only doom scrolling for 2 hours. It doesn't matter. It's anything that you go, okay, I'm getting closer because the more you're reaching. And also I love that you pointed it out right in the beginning is being able to feel that feeling. So when you
Mm-hmm.
say like, okay, my goal is maybe it's I don't even know, to live in a 3 bedroom house instead of a 2 bedroom house. Picture yourself sitting in that third bedroom.
Yeah,
How does that make
visualization.
you? And like you said, how does that make you feel? You got to feel it. You have to feel it.
Right. And so I think that's another big tool that we use in the manifestation world is visualization. So it's the power, the act of going into your mind and creating like almost like this movie or this picture and seeing yourself with the wish fulfilled, right? Like seeing it already done. And then like you said, feeling that, right? Like feeling is the secret. So how do you feel or how would you feel once you've achieved that goal? And if you're someone that really isn't sure because they've never experienced it, which is perfectly normal, something you could do is like actually physically putting yourself in the energy of whatever it is that you desire. So we'll just use the example of buying a home, right? Like if you're wanting to manifest a new home, go to some open houses, right?
Okay.
Putting yourself in the energy and imagine yourself walking through this house as if like you were being ready to buy the house, right? This is exactly what my husband and I did before as like we were beginning to really want to manifest our dream home. We started a year before we actually moved into our home and purchased it, started to look at homes just so we could figure out what we wanted, but really get in the energy of that feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then it was so much easier for me to connect to that feeling when I go into my visualizations. And you don't have to visualize very long. It could be 5 minutes, right? I used to do it every morning and every night before I went to sleep. I would see myself like my perfect day unfolding in my dream home, right? And I would connect to that feeling of just beautiful energy, contentness, empowered, right? Like happy, joy, all the things that come with like living in your dream space.
I love that. I remember I kind of did the same thing. My husband and I went to open houses and did that kind of thing. And I was laughing because I walked into this one house and they had this beautiful sconce on the wall and it held like 18 candles, right? The little votive candles. And I was like, oh, what I wouldn't do. Like, I love that. I absolutely love that. I don't even have enough wall space for that in my world. And it was, I mean, but I was like, oh, and I was like picturing them lit and like, all different colored candles and all this fun stuff. I literally a week later found that sconce at a garage sale where I was going to get my son some like Legos or something. Found that exact sconce. It came from Pottery Barn. I would have never been able to buy it at that time. And it was like $12. And I was like, got it.
Yeah.
And at that time in my mind, I said to myself, I would have paid $1,000 for this because it's going on my wall as soon as I have a wall big enough for it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just exactly it's you have the picture in your mind. And I have a fun manifestation story about my house, but just to kind of follow up on the question, other things you can do when you're in this negative thought pattern besides, go into visualization, list your gratitudes, ask your spirit team, source energy for help to release. You can also just shift the energy by doing something, going outside, going for a 5 minute walk or putting on like find your theme song, like your favorite hype up song and move your body because that's what that's actually doing is shifting your energy and it will like completely stop your, negative thought pattern. So I just wanted to also like really kind of sum that up. But so and when we're writing goals, we always want to write them in present tense, right? And so we always use like what Bob taught us was, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have XYZ, right? So I used to write, now I'm so happy and grateful that I now live in our dream home, and we wanted to have at least an acre of land on 1+ acre of land. And I put an end date because when you put an end date to something, it really helps create this urgency in your body to move. If we don't have an end date, right, then you're like, okay, well, whenever it happens, which is beautiful, right? But that date, that kind of goal date, actually helps you take action. Again, if you don't make it, it's not like you failed, but for me, it really helped me create that like, okay, I have this goal in mind. I'm going to start making moves to make this happen. And so I used to write by December 15th, 2022. And I had a couple reasons for the end dates. One was my daughter was in 5th grade and I didn't want to move her past that. That was just an example. So we found a house, put an offer in August, and it ended up falling through. We sold our house and we did not have a house in November. Like we ended up moving with my mom's house, put our whole house in the storage, and we kept the faith. We're like, it's okay. We're going to find our house. No big deal. It will all work out. And so, long story short, to kid you not, we closed on December 12th, 2022. So, 3 days before my end goal that I had been writing for the past year. And so I think I wanted to share that story because it really is, it's like, don't give up, even if you can't see how it's going to happen by a certain date or at all, right? Like, keep going because everything happens in divine timing, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny. I think of another story all the time, and I always am like, "Oh man, you so manifested that." And my
Yeah.
first husband, we met, and I don't know, he was married with 3 children. I didn't know at the time, so long. Another story for another podcast episode. But anyway, he said to me when we met, I really want to have my own children and I want to do it by the time I'm 30. And
Mm,
I was like, dude, you are married with three kids that you don't want to be with, and you're 27. So I don't see that happening. Well,
mm-hmm.
long story short, his birthday is December 8th, and his 30th birthday was December 8th, 95. And my son was born November 25th, 95. So
I love it.
literally 13 days before he turned 30, we were married with a kid.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. I love it.
So, and it's, I mean, I was like, that's physically impossible. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, okay, well, then you got to make it happen. Like, and he's like, okay.
And you know what the power behind that was the belief and the decision. Like
Mm-hmm.
he truly believed that it was possible and he decided it was going to happen. And that's like half the battle. You have to have the belief that these things are possible because if you don't, whatever you believe to be true will be true. Otherwise, if you don't believe it, it's going to be a lot more difficult to bring it into your reality.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this question, because I've always heard, don't say things very vague. Like, I want to have more money mysteriously drop into my world. Like, don't do things like that because you may find a nickel on the ground and the universe is like, wish
Huh?
granted.
Right,
What do
exactly.
you think about that?
I would agree with that statement. Be very specific about the amount of money that you are wanting to manifest into your life. Because exactly, you ask more money for more money, and you get a dollar, and the universe is like, "Well, hello, you asked for more money. I gave you a dollar. What's the problem?" So, because the universe doesn't know the difference between more or less, like we said, right? So, in my opinion, I always tell my clients to be really specific about like what that dollar amount is that they would love to bring into their lives, right? But then there's also, again, talking about the belief and building the ladder of belief. So if you're someone that makes $1,000 per month, but you would love to make $50,000 per month, the way of that is, do you believe that's true? Do you believe it's possible to go from 1,000 to 50,000 in like 3 months, right? It is possible, don't get me wrong, people have done it,
Oh, yeah.
but you have to believe it's true. So it's kind of like, what is the amount that you actually believe that you can manifest in a short period of time, and then push yourself a little past that, right? So yes, I do believe in specific amounts, but then there's a whole other thing that, this is again something that you might want to research either on Chat GPT or Google, is a thing called human design.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so everyone has a human design. It's an astrology kind of thing. And people are either specific manifestors or non-specific manifestors. So some people do need to be very specific in their manifesting process and what they want, and others can just be a little bit more loosey-goosey about it and, call things in much easier, with the vagueness.
And I think also to add on top of that, yes, and I love human design. I don't know much about it. I have a very good friend who is an expert. She's been doing it for decades, it seems like. And I'll always tell her something like, well, I did this. And she's like, because you're a generator. And it's because you do this. And I'm like, I don't know what all that means. And she's like, just do you. She's like, just do what feels in alignment.
Yeah.
But, oh gosh, where was I going with that? I was going to ask you something. I forgot.
The
It's
human
okay.
design.
But yeah, no, the human design is very interesting. And do you do a lot with your clients with human design, or you just most no?
No, I refer people out if they want to learn about human design. I kind of like, it's just one of those things that it's a lot. Like, I feel like it's a beast, like astrology and human design. There's so much to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have that type of brain that can remember all the different aspects and types of things. So like, I use it when I can, but even for me to understand my own, like I know a little bit of things and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Like I'll be like, oh my God, people are like, why did you move to Florida? And I'm like, I don't know. I just was landlocked. I was in Ohio. I felt crazy. And my friend's like,
yeah.
because you're natural shores. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that. No, I don't understand that at all. But yeah, no, I totally understand that. But uh I think what I was starting to say too is when you're getting all this too, even if you find that dollar and you
Hmm.
were like, I want more money, be grateful for that dollar.
Uh-huh,
Thank the
100.
universe for bringing that dollar into your world, because if you don't appreciate it and you're not grateful for it, there won't be more.
Exactly. I love that point that you just made. It's always being in gratitude for everything that comes into your life, like any form of abundance, whether it's getting, a free dinner or a free something for free, right? Or you get a refund, or even if, like you said, you get 50 cents, it's like, oh, thanks for the 50 cents off. Like that was amazing, right? Because the more you are grateful, the universe will respond by giving you more things to be grateful for, right? The universe responds to the energy that you're in.
Absolutely. And I tell people, and I don't know what book. I think it was Get Rich, Lucky Bitch or something. One of those
Mm-hmm.
books that I was reading where they talk about stop making just a these are the things I spend list, but make a these are the things I get list. And like you said, put on there. I remember waking up one morning and I'm like, dang. And I'm like, I just was kind of joking to myself. I'm like, when's the next National Donut Day? And it was literally that day, and I had no idea. So
Oh,
I
that's
went
so
to my
funny.
Dunkin' Donuts and I ordered my coffee or whatever. And the lady's like, would you like a donut? It's National Donut Day. And I was like, what? So it's same thing, it's the small thing. So I wrote on my little list, free donut.
Yes, yes. I think, and I just actually recommended that to a client recently and was going to start doing it again myself, is like just making a list of all the little wins, because every single win you can celebrate is going to help raise your vibration, raise the belief that the universe is always providing for you and supporting you and giving you abundance. And that's going to put you in the energy to receive more.
A good example is, and like I had one of my people I work with, she says to me, she's like, well, I've got this number that I wanted per month and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and I'm close, but I'm just not there. And I said, make a what came in this month list. I guarantee
Yeah.
you you're there. So she
Yeah.
started writing all the things she got, and like little things like her apartment complex changed their down payment or whatever their deposit amount. She got back
Yeah.
$400 of her deposit that she had no idea. And I was like, put that in the $400, like that's money in. And she was over her goal and didn't
Yeah.
even know it.
I think that's a good point too, because a lot of people put like where they believe abundance and money can come from. And they're like, well, I have this set job that I get paid this much, and how am I ever going to bring in more money? But so we always like to use the affirmations like, I'm open to receive, abundance, wealth, prosperity, money, whatever you want to say, from all sources, both expected and unexpected. And then you open yourself up to receive from so many other places, right? Just like you said, like a refund from a deposit. It could be like a gift from a family member. It could be, I don't know, look up unclaimed funds because we all have them, right? Like I can't do that every so often, and things pop up that way, right? So there's so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's just looking, you're just looking and just being aware, like you said, being aware. This was super fun. I literally could talk to you all day long, but first of all, I want you to leave a couple more tricks. Like, what are some things that people that are just getting started with this can do on a daily basis that will help them out?
Yeah, so on a daily basis, what I started and what really helped me was that kind of like daily journaling. And that was listing 5 things I was grateful for in my life right now, 5 things that I'm like manifesting, like and showing and being in like the gratitude for it, writing it in the present tense and really having that goal, writing some daily affirmations that feel really good to you, that light you up. You also can do guided meditations too, if that feels good for you. And then also sending love is a huge thing for me that I do, is, just feeling almost like this energy of love coming from your heart to someone that you feel needs it in the moment, in that day, or you can send it to the world, whatever you feel, or yourself, to really helps raise your vibration as well. And then visualization, like we talked about, definitely taking at least 5 minutes a day, picturing yourself and in the end result, like with the goal achieved, whether that be like you're sitting on a beach, enjoying a cocktail, or like, enjoying the waves, you're flying first class or whatever it is, or you're, married, if that's what you're trying to manifest as a partner. Just seeing whatever it is at the end result with you in that picture, and try to look through your own eyes rather than like seeing yourself playing in the kind of movie, right? Like see, like looking around and noticing the picture as you're looking through your own eyes, I feel like is really helpful as well. So I love those. That was like what I first started with when I started my manifestation journey. And for me too, it's study, like really finding something that expands you and grows you in some way, whether it be reading a book or taking a course, or a new class, like trying new things that really help, open yourself up to grow and expand in some way every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes a day where you're listening to a podcast, right? Or you're, listening to some sort of YouTube that's you're going to learn something new or be, create a new awareness. Another thing too that I have incorporated in my life recently is Kundalini yoga, and I've become a Kundalini yoga practitioner, and that has really also raised my vibration, helped me expand and allow my nervous system to become regulated so that I can manifest what I want and desire and hold on to it.
Well, yeah, you've got a good point. And the nervous system, I love that you incorporate both of those into what you do with your clients, whatever you call them,
Yes.
wellness warrior, whatever you want
Yes.
to call them. But because when you're in that stuck in that fight or flight, you are not creating anything.
No, no, it's so true. And that is, again, another conversation for another day's nervous system regulation and
Mm-hmm.
capacity and all those things. But just know that you're going to have ups and downs, and to not be hard on yourself when you have those lower emotional, lower vibrational days, because it's the law of rhythm. Like things have to go up and down. It's completely normal and natural. It's just how long we stay in that lower vibration. So allow yourself to be there for the day and just be, and then the next day we come back and we're back, we do things to rise and to raise ourselves back up.
Yep, just going with the flow because
Yeah,
it's like that's the best way to go through life.
for sure.
Just embracing wherever you're at right at the moment because it's all normal. And there's going to, it's
Hmm.
like in recovery, you're going to have relapses. You're going to go back and forward and back and forward. But as long as you have an end goal and you just keep inching forward, you're doing great. I mean, for the people out there listening, you're doing great anyway, no matter where you're at. So, um, and this has been super fun. So if people want to work with you, Elizabeth, where do they reach out? What's the best way to get hold of you?
Yeah, so on social media, any of the platforms, it's my handle is just my name, Elizabeth Planson. My website's elizabethplanson.com. I have lots of free resources on there. I have a free manifestation guide on there as well, kind of like a checklist, a list of daily affirmations, and a meditation for you for there. So I would love for you to take advantage of that. And yeah, so just DM me or you can send me an email from the website.
Sounds absolutely perfect. I really appreciate you coming on. I know the listeners are going to get a lot of little golden nuggets from this.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I could, and like you said, I could talk about this all day.
I know. I know I have to usually I'm like, okay, I'm literally writing down other conversations that we could have in the future. Like, okay, check back 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, because there's just there's so much to this. But every little topic is helpful. A lot of
Hmm.
people are new to this whole realm. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people, you see things, and sometimes the stuff you see on social media is quick. And then
Yeah,
you're like, I want to know more.
right.
And, find someone you trust, find someone you resonate and know more, learn more because it's
Exactly.
it's it's so valuable. And so thank you so much for coming on. I do appreciate you. And for everybody else out there listening, just start to look at the gratitude of everything. The more you are grateful for the little things you have, the more little things will come to you, and then bigger things and bigger things. And you will be well on your way. But keep a positive attitude, smile, give yourself grace, love yourself, and know that you are absolutely perfect right where you are. See you next week.